Weekend storms brought rain, snow, and wind, and we may not be out of the woods. How tonight's advisory could impact your Monday commute.
It would also open up the school to scrutiny because how many kids have brought weapons in and there's been no consequence?
A mother takes issue with the city schools a year after her son's murder near a Baltimore high school. Why, she says, school leaders aren't doing enough to keep teens safe. And you could be paying more for everyday services like haircuts and dry cleaning to help offset a state budget shortfall. Why taxpayer experts are pushing back on the new proposals in Annapolis.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 10.
We are under a wind advisory across much of the area tonight as strong gusts are expected to persist throughout the night. I'm sure you've heard them out there as the trees are blowing. A live look outside our studio, you can see the American flag dealing with some of that gusty weather out there right now. Well, a few people were out braving the breezy conditions this afternoon, and it's not just the wind. Areas just north of Baltimore saw some snow, including Reisterstown and parts of Lutherville. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mary Bubala. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali with an update on the wind advisory and how it could impact your Monday commute. Gerard?
Hi, Mary. Well, the wind is going to be around all night long, and it has been blowing everything around, and maybe some of you were surprised to see a few snow showers today. While this sort of thing definitely can happen around here, nothing was really accumulating, but it did have an interesting look to it. It didn't feel like winter wanted to completely be gone, but the wind is going to continue. The snow showers will start to die down tonight. Effective through Monday evening, that wind advisory is just going to continue with northwest winds gusting still to 50 miles an hour, so get ready for more wind throughout tonight and through the day tomorrow. Not going to be a good hair day for sure. Right now it's 36 degrees. We're continuing to see those winds gusting. Right now 31 miles per hour is the last gust out of the BWI airport, but we're likely going to see that continuing tonight as temperatures dip down pretty low. We're going to be in the mid to low 30s, but we should barely avoid those freezing numbers. Okay, so still clear skies. We'll wake up to sunshine tomorrow. We have some great news coming. We have a huge warm up on the way, and we're going to track that before we talk about just how high the mercury is going to get coming up.
Gerard, thank you. Our Fox 45 weather team will be keeping an eye on the conditions throughout the night. Wake up with meteorologist Justin Chambers for the latest on this system starting at 4:30 a.m. on the Fox 45 Morning News. One person is dead following a crash at the Locust Point Marine Terminal early this morning. MTA police say the crash happened just before 5 a.m. Dixon has been vocal about a tough-on-crime strategy, while Mayor Scott is defending a more holistic approach to violence prevention, including the Safe Streets program. Fox 45 News asked voters about what messaging they want to see.
Consequences. Has to be consequences.
Yeah, I like tough on crime. But I do also like giving us a balance and giving our kids a chance to live.
Well, that brings us to our question of the day. Whose crime strategy do you feel is best for Baltimore City? Mayor Scott's or Sheila Dixon's? So far, 88% of people who voted say Sheila Dixon. You can make your voice heard at foxbaltimore.com. More details are coming to light surrounding the Safe Streets program and how it handles crime. Leaders from the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement testified in a city council hearing last week, saying Safe Streets workers don't alert police or confiscate weapons when they find illegal guns.
So if there are weapons that are seen in those moments, no, they are not communicating that with law enforcement.
Monzi claims Safe Streets workers can't alert police since it could hurt their credibility in the community. But one law enforcement expert says there should be a policy in place to get police involved when necessary. Councilman Yitzi Schleifer agrees, saying the lack of police involvement is troubling.
So that is certainly very concerning. When we have tens of millions of dollars going to an entity that is telling us that they're not willing to be part of removing guns from the streets of Baltimore.
If Safe Streets personnel cannot take any action to actually prevent an act of violence that they know or highly suspect will occur, how else can it be effective? And is it really a credible program to the community?
Fox 45 News sent questions to the City Council asking if it's appropriate that employees working for a taxpayer-funded program don't report weapons issues to law enforcement. City Council President Nick Mosby and Councilman Antonio Glover, the only ones who've responded so far. Both of them say Safe Streets workers are not meant to alert police of weapons or take guns away from people. Now, also during Thursday's hearing, Monzi Director Stephanie Mavronis touted the success of Safe Streets over the past year, saying the Penn North location has gone more than 365 days with no gun-related homicides. Earlier this week, the mayor and Monzi held a celebration for the accomplishment. But Fox 45 News, we were not invited. Mackenzie Frost pressed Mavronis about that and if we could see how a Safe Streets location operates.
I'm speaking with you right now. I think we are about sharing accurate information about the program. We're about not operating in a realm of suggestion or innuendo. I think it's important that Baltimore understands what this work is and can see it firsthand. So that's something that we can absolutely talk about.
Well, according to BPD crime data, there have been a dozen homicides in the area around Penn North Safe Streets zone over the past year. Just a block away from the border right here on North Fulton Avenue, multiple people have been killed. And then on the south side, there have also been several homicides in the Sandtown Winchester Safe Streets zone. The 10 Safe Street zones only cover about 2.5 square miles, which according to census data makes up less than 3% of the city. Now, Fox 45 News has been investigating transparency issues within the Safe Streets program for years. For our complete coverage, head to foxbaltimore.com. Maryland is facing a $3 billion transportation budget shortfall, and lawmakers in Annapolis are working through several proposals to make up for it that could impact your wallet. Tomorrow, there will be a hearing on House Bill 1515. It would lower the state's sales tax from 6% to 5%, but the bill would expand where the state can charge sales tax, adding things like accounting services, dry cleaning, and haircuts. Now, lawmakers are also pitching a 50-cent fee on any packages delivered to your home, and a toll increase is on the table for the first time in a decade. That proposal would increase rates to near optimal levels, meaning you could be paying more depending on when you commute. Taxpayer advocate David Williams says the proposed changes could add up.
All these fee increases have one thing in common, is that they're going to hurt lower income and middle income families, because those are the ones who pay the bulk of these increase in fees. There's no indication about what the increase is going to be, but there doesn't need to be one. What the state needs to do is prioritize transportation spending projects and not raise tolls.
Williams argues the state shouldn't put the burden on taxpayers. He says lawmakers need to be smarter about the way they're spending your money. Well, still ahead, President Biden's stern warning to Israel, why he says Benjamin Netanyahu has gone too far in his response to the Hamas attacks.
Another tragedy on the southern border as Democrats and Republicans dig in on the best path forward. I'm Christine Frizzell with that story coming up.
Baltimore police say there was a barricade situation along West Patapsco Avenue in South Baltimore. The situation lasted several hours before police gave the all clear around 4 this afternoon. It's unclear what led up to the barricade. We'll keep you updated as we learn more. Well, we want to show you more of that snow that was coming down in our area this afternoon. Look at that. Corrine from Westminster sent this video around 3 o'clock today. Some pretty thick flakes there in her backyard. Nothing sticking, but the birds are like, what the heck is going on? If you see snow in your area, send us photos, videos through Chime In at foxbaltimore.com or the WBFF app. How about if you see flowers coming up? You send those too, right? Gerard, we'd prefer the spring weather to showcase, not the snowflakes.
We're going to have winter and spring in this week alone, so we're excited for that. But, you know, the snow looked really cool. I mean, it's kind of a strange thing if you think about it. It was around 45 degrees today, but we saw snow coming down. How is that possible? Well, yes, you would say the snow needs to be at freezing temperature. It was very cold above us, but what happened is that colder air got pushed to the ground as the snowflakes were forming above your head, and they didn't have time to melt before really reaching the ground. That's one thing. The other is that as the snow dropped through some very dry air, many of the flakes evaporated, and that's called evaporative cooling. The temperatures actually go down when things evaporate. You know that because all you have to do is step outside of a pool and you feel your skin so chilly once that water begins to evaporate. All right, so it's still fairly cloudy outside. We've got some occasional showers of that snowfall coming down. Nothing to accumulate and cause any problems, just makes it look like a snow globe for a little bit. We're in the 30s everywhere, but we're going to continue to see temperatures a few degrees colder than what you're seeing here. And the winds are going to continue to stay up tonight. We've seen gusts as high as 50 miles per hour in some places, still reporting gusts as high as 30 to 35. 43 mile per hour wind gusts, 44 in Denton. And so you're going to hear it going through, and you can see all the activity on the radar here too. These snow showers continuing to come across the mountains, and a lot of this moisture originating from the Great Lakes. They're just making it barely across to give us a little last taste of some winter weather. But if you're not a fan of this, hold on. This is going to be a fun ride for you. Watch this. We're in the mid-30s tomorrow morning. We see the sunshine all day long. We hit the mid to low 50s. Not bad. We can do better, and we will do a lot better. Watch what happens as we get later into Tuesday. We start out in the 40s, not a speck of clouds, all sunshine. We're hitting 65 to 68 degrees. Now that's already feeling like spring. Not good enough for you? We can do better than that. I'm just going to tack it on for you. More and more warm air is going to start to build in. We're going to see temperatures well above our average, and we will likely see 10 to 20 degrees above average by the time we get into Thursday and Friday. Look at these numbers. Now, this is some serious spring weather. I'm very thrilled to see this. Your average high around 53 to 54 degrees. That's basically what we saw today and what we'll have for a little bit of tomorrow, but upper 60s to 70s for several days this week. We're going to be hitting the low 70s. That's going to be almost practically sweating by the time we get to the end. We needed coats today. We'll need shorts and short sleeves by the time we just get to Tuesday and Wednesday. So your 7-day forecast just has a lot of great weather, and we really deserve this after this past week of nothing but showers and chillier air. We're in the upper 60s to 70s as you see sunshine all the way through. We will see some chances for some rain returning on Friday, and that could linger in your Saturday. So far, we are not putting these chances at washout levels just yet. So hold tight. We'll see how the data is shaping up, but at the very least, wow, what a change that we are going to have in just a few days. You can count on it. I will be outside, and Mary, you probably will too.
100%. Gerard, thanks. You can always have the forecast right at your fingertips with the Fox 45 Weather Authority app. Just search WBFF in your app store. The situation at the southern border is still a flashpoint in Washington, D.C., as lawmakers continue to debate how to change border security measures. Now, this comes on the heels of another tragedy. National correspondent Christine Frizzau has the update.
An already difficult task growing dangerous. The job of securing the southern border turned deadly Friday when this helicopter crashed in Starr County, Texas. 2 National Guard soldiers and a Border Patrol agent were killed. The issue of border security has become front and center as the presidential race marches on. Voters now see immigration as a top issue, with Republicans highlighting the dangers, with the majority of those who have arrived allowed to remain in the country, even if they commit crimes.
Laken Riley would be alive today if Joe Biden had not willfully and maliciously eviscerated the borders of the United States.
Former President Trump reportedly meeting with the mother of 22-year-old Laken Riley ahead of this campaign speech in Georgia. The suspect in her murder, an undocumented immigrant from Venezuela, Jose Ibarra, is an incident that has sparked a political firestorm.
Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal.
Democrats accusing their opponents of politicizing a tragedy.
It's unfortunate that in this moment of grief, there are those who are trying to score cheap political points.
Meanwhile, solutions to face the problem head-on are in the works, with a renewed push by Democrats and some Republicans to pass a bipartisan bill. It would, among other things, add far more Border Patrol agents and add 4,300 asylum officers. Today, there are only 1,000.
We do have gaps in our asylum law that need to be fixed. So no matter who is president, that can actually be resolved and we can have a faster resolution to be able to secure the nation.
Others continue to fight for more border wall to be built. A federal judge just blocked an effort by President Biden to divert border wall funds to other border-related purposes, since it was money agreed to and passed by Congress. I'm Christine Frizzell reporting.
U.S. relief efforts in Gaza are moving forward as equipment to build a temporary pier off Gaza's coast is on the way to the Mediterranean. This as the U.S. and regional allies continue airdrops into the territory that's still dealing with a blockade by Israel. Humanitarian aid delivered on land is not enough, though, to sustain the millions of people still in Gaza. Israel says it will inspect the sea deliveries before they're permitted into the territory. And a new report claims the White House is trying to undermine Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. New York Magazine quotes an Israeli expert who claims a U.S. official asked him about what it would take to force Israel's government to collapse, which could lead to a leadership change. This comes as President Biden has been vocal about asking Israel to protect civilians in Gaza.
I'm never going to leave Israel. The defense of Israel is still critical, so there's no red line. I'm going to cut off all weapons so they don't have the Iron Dome to protect them. They don't have, but there's red lines that if he crosses, and we cannot have 30,000 more Palestinians dead.
President Biden says he understands Israel's right to defend itself. Tens of thousands of people have been killed in Israeli airstrikes and ground offensives in Gaza. Many more Palestinians are on the brink of starvation as the U.S. increases efforts to surge aid into the territory. Well, Boeing is under more fire for several mid-flight safety issues. Why one aviation expert says the company should not take the blame. And now you can watch Fox 45 News for free anytime on Amazon Fire TV or Samsung TV Plus. The U.S. is increasing security around its embassy in Haiti and Port-au-Prince amid several attacks in the surrounding area. The military has offered to evacuate any non-essential personnel as gang violence grows worse in the area. U.S. officials say they are providing resources to Haitian police. There will be a meeting to talk about security across the Caribbean tomorrow. Well, Boeing's executive vice president says the company can't find any records of work done on a door panel that blew out earlier this year on an Alaskan Airlines flight. The company claims records for installation and removal of the door panel were never created, even though they are required. Boeing is also under fire for this incident in San Francisco. Last Wednesday, you can see one of the wheels fall off a United Airlines plane during takeoff. The wheel landed in a parking lot, severely damaging a car and a fence, but thankfully, no one was hurt. One aviation expert says Boeing should not be blamed.
Typically, excursions happen through some sort of a human error or a runway condition or a taxiway condition error. It's Boeing's name on the side of the airplane, and the headlines are going to say Boeing airplane. And these incidents, it's not fair to tag Boeing with it.
Boeing has promised to have a renewed focus on safety. The company already dismissed one of its executives in charge of manufacturing plant where the faulty Alaska Airlines plane was built. As obesity becomes more of an issue in America, many people hire dietitians to help them eat clean. Still ahead, Full Measures investigates why some of those experts may have a conflict of interest. As Americans battle an obesity epidemic, some are pointing to the people who are supposed to teach us how to eat healthy. Full Measure Cheryl Atkinson investigates why there may be a conflict of interest.
There's no question that over the last, say, 25 years, there has been a kind of a slide into the corrupt swamps of taking money from the ultra-processed food industry. And we can see the effects of it in our, in our waistlines and in the rates of diabetes and cardiovascular disease across the country.
Gary Ruskin heads the watchdog group U.S. Right to Know. Its 5-year investigation looked into tens of thousands of pages of internal documents from the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics and its website, eatright.org.
What we found was that the Academy accepted about $15 million from companies and organizations, from ultra-processed food companies, from pharmaceutical companies, from agribusiness companies.
When they accept money from an industry like that, is the theory or allegation that they're then taking action to protect the industry, or just simply taking no action to go after that industry as a nutrition threat?
There's some of both of that. It's a lot of it is kind of sin of omission sort of thing. For example, when you look at what the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics says about ultra-processed food, what they don't say is don't eat added sugars and don't eat junk food and don't eat candy. And so that's exactly what the ultra-processed food companies want them to say, to stay away from the don'ts.
The Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics says the U.S. Right to Know report is inaccurate and misleading and denies that its corporate funding influences policies. The Academy has stringent guidelines and principles that prohibit external influence, does not endorse any company brand or company products, maintains final editorial control and approval of all content in materials, and there is a clear separation of Academy messages and content from brand information or promotion. What is it you think the public should know in the big picture?
The big picture is that our nation's dietitian organization is not trustworthy for information, and that people need to find better sources of information, sources that do not have conflicts of interest.
Many studies blame ultra-processed foods in part for skyrocketing heart disease, diabetes, obesity, cancer, and dementia. A new report in the Washington Post says registered dietitians are being paid to post videos promoting diet soda and sugar on Instagram and TikTok. For Full Measure, I'm Cheryl Atkinson.
Corbin Burns officially named the O starter for opening day. What the honor means to the club's new ace, that's coming up next on Sports Unlimited. Well, check this out. Baltimore police getting into the holiday spirit at today's St. Patrick's Day parade downtown. Police Commissioner Richard Worley joined Mayor Scott for the festivities. A full list of St. Patrick's Day festivities this week available at foxbaltimore.com. And that's all for the news at 10. I'm Mary Bubala. Thanks so much for watching. Morgan Atzett and Rocco DeSangro join us now with Sports Unlimited. Guys.
Thank you, Mary. Coming up tonight on Sports Unlimited, March is about to get wild.
Yeah, the worlds of college hoops, opening day, and free agency are all about to collide, and as soon as tomorrow.
The O's went out and got a new ace for the 2024 season, and Corbin Burns gets the honor as the Birds' opening day starter. Why Brandon Hyde made that call 18 days out from Game 1.
The Ravens locked up Justin Madubuike before he hit the open market. We recap his mega deal and free agency that starts this week.
And Towson's hopes of a CAA championship and first NCAA berth ever, they're still alive. How the Tigers move one step closer to making program history. That's coming up next on Sports Unlimited. What is going on, everyone? Welcome into Sports Unlimited. She's Morgan Adsett. I'm Rocco DeSangro. The Ravens take one of their own off the free agency market. We're getting a taste of March Madness, and the O's have their opening day starter, Morgan.
Yeah, all the big sports are running into each other in early March, and we'll start with the Orioles. Manager Brandon Hyde announced today Corbin Burns will be the Orioles' opening day starter. Kind of a no-brainer here. He had their first spring start, so the schedule's lining up. Also, he's their ace. No regular season appearances yet with the Birds, but purchased via trade from Milwaukee. The Cy Young arm gets Game 1 for the Orioles right here in Baltimore, Thursday, March 28th, against the Angels.
Take all the guesswork out of that, and but real honor for me to let him know. We've been talking about it for a while, and we're excited to watch him pitch on opening day.
It's a great feeling. Not many guys can say they started opening day. So for me to do it 3 years now and 3 years in a row is pretty special. So I'm glad to take the ball opening day. But I'm going to take the ball every 5 days whenever I'm called upon. So that's just one of hopefully 30 plus starts, but definitely an honor to be able to take what.
Corbin Burns on the bump today for the Orioles. They had a split squad with the Blue Jays. The game started with what every starting pitcher wants to see, his offense going yard in the first. Adley Rutschman, a goner, made it 1-0 Orioles. Burns' spring line hasn't exactly been great in his last two starts. Against Toronto, 3 innings, 6 hits, 5 earned runs, 2 homers. Blue Jays up 3-1 in the third. Burns has a 12.71 ERA. and Florida. Bottom of the frame, Colton Cowser getting some of that back. A goner to center with Jorge Mateo on, game tied at 6. And this one would end with a spring tie, 6-6, the final. And their split squad win. The Orioles have a huge roster decision to make with baseball's top prospect, Jackson Holliday. While he's working second base for the first time, his bat's ready, and it's enough for the opening day roster. This one helped Holliday with his first grand slam, putting this game out of reach by the first inning. Holliday has gone. Now, the Orioles won that one 5-0. We're up 5-0, after that. And Holliday, he's batting .286 this spring.
To basketball, Pat Scarry has done a lot of great things as the Towson men's basketball head coach, from leading the largest one-year turnaround in NCAA history to winning the CAA regular season crown. But one thing he's still looking to accomplish, that's winning the conference tournament and taking the Tigers to the big dance. Towson taking on UNC Wilmington in the CAA championship quarterfinals, looking to move one step closer to making some history. And what a sequence. Macau Lowry with the block on one end, Christian May with the finish on the other. Tigers lead by 3, then it's Lowry gonna hammer it home off the baseline and part of an 8-0 Towson run. And later, Dylan Williamson gonna cash in from deep with 3 of his 18 points. Tigers advance to the semis with a 66-56 win. They'll take on Charleston in a much-anticipated rematch from 2023. Maryland looking to finish the regular season strong. Terps on the road taking on Penn State with no Julian Reese due to an ankle injury. Less than 4 minutes to go in the first. Jamie Kaiser Jr. gonna jam it home, and that gives the Terps a 3-point lead to the second. Maryland down 7. Demir Young, nice floater in the lane, gonna get it to 5. 4:39 to go in the game now. And Baltimore's Ace Baldwin gonna put Penn State up 15 with a triple there. Maryland drops the regular season finale 85-69. They're the 13th seed in the Big Ten tournament and will play Rutgers Wednesday night at 6:30 p.m. While the Maryland women fell short of a Big Ten tournament championship, the Terps played their best basketball of the season in March. Cheyenne Sellers, she even said they're peaking at the right time. A victory over 1-seed Ohio State had helped Maryland's NCAA tournament cause and has them battle-tested for even more for what's to come in the next few weeks.
Love how we played the last 3 days. I mean, we fought and we battled both ends of the floor, and we have a locker room full of a lot of competitors that have fought and stuck through a lot of adversity this season, and you see that they're built for March, and we're ready to take on the next tournament.
To the SEC Women's Basketball Championship, Angel Reese and LSU taking on undefeated South Carolina. Reese reverse lay and high off the glass. She finished with 15 and 13. Tigers did not have an answer for Malaysia Fulwiley. Hits the 3-game high to the SEC, 79-72.